This is Standing Watch. And now, Evangelist Norbert Link.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. Now, much has happened this week, but I'd like to focus today on Benjamin Netanyahu's address to the American Congress. An address which has been heavily criticized even before he gave it. But I personally felt, and I listened to the entire speech, that it was very convincing, very persuasive, and very important to heed. But before I go into the address, I'd like to go back a little bit and talk about events which led to this address. I have an article here by the Times of Israel, dated February 23. And of course, the Times of Israel is not necessarily very sympathetic towards Benjamin Netanyahu. But the author, David Horowitz, asked that the two contenders for the leadership in Israel, Isaac Herzog and Benjamin Netanyahu, should set aside their differences when it comes to the election, which is going to take place on March 17, and to stand together and firm against any deal which is in the making pertaining to Iran. Now, it is interesting that when it comes to Isaac Herzog, he is described, and GTA wrote about this in March 4, as somebody who likes dialogue and compromise, but he also said he wants to be present to make sure that red lines are defined by the American-led negotiations insofar as Iran is concerned. Red lines which apparently are not being considered right now when it comes to this deal in the making. Now, the Times of Israel article went on to say that the devil of such deals is generally in the detail. But the devil here is in the principle as well. The principle that the P5+1 is about to legitimize Iran as a nuclear threshold state. Now, the P5+1, we're talking about the permanent members of the UN Security Council, +1, plus Germany. But those permanent members, including Russia, China, the United States of America, the UK and France, they all have to agree on a deal, on a resolution. And if only one country vetoes, they can have such a resolution, which is substantial. And you know that Russia and China are not very much willing to go against Iran, Iran being more or less already the proxy of Russia. So the whole thing is just a failure in the making. But this article goes on to say that Iran will be capable of rapidly breaking out to the bomb, well aware that the international community lacks the will to stop it. The Obama administration would evidently like to believe that 10 to 15 years from now, the Ayatollahs will be gone, Iran will have a different leadership, and the threat of what Netanyahu has repeatedly called, and I quote, the most dangerous regime in the world, attaining the most dangerous weapon in the world, close quote, will have passed. But if the deal now taking shape is indeed finalized, the chances of the regime being ousted from within or effectively confronted from without will drastically recede. This deal indeed will help cement the Ayatollahs in power, with dire consequences for Israel, relatively modern Arab states, and the free world. Now, this is very true. This is very true. And the Washington Post wrote on February 25, again before Netanyahu gave his address to the American Congress, no love has been lost between Obama and Netanyahu. This is clearly the most dysfunctional relationship between an American and Israeli leader, said Aaron David Miller, the vice president at the Wilson Center and a former U.S. negotiator and advisor to both Republican and Democratic administrations. And then we reach March 3, when Benjamin Netanyahu gave his address to the American Congress. It says, and I'm quoting from a Thomson Reuters article from that day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned US President Barack Obama on Tuesday against accepting a nuclear deal with Iran that would be a countdown to a potential nuclear nightmare by a country that will always be an enemy of America. If the deal now being negotiated is accepted by Iran, that deal will not prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. It will all but guarantee that Iran will get those nuclear weapons and lots of them, he said. And it goes on to say in this article that Netanyahu, who has hinted at the prospect of unilateral strikes as a last resort on Iranian nuclear sites, told lawmakers Israel would stand alone if needed. And we in our Standing Watch programs have warned time and again that there is a great likelihood that ultimately Israel will strike Iran to prevent them from acquiring nuclear weapons. Now, as I said, the speech has been criticized as being unconvincing, as lacking true alternatives. I didn't think that way. I think he specifically pointed out the true alternative, and that is no deal. No deal. Why would you want to have a deal which gives Iran the possibility to acquire nuclear weapons? It makes no sense. Now, the article by Thomson Reuters goes on to say, because Netanyahu also warned against collaboration between America and Iran against ISIS, something we in our Standing Watch programs have also warned against quite frequently. And this is how he was addressing the issue. That's what he said. Iran and ISIS are competing for the crown of militant Islam. Both want to impose a militant Islamic empire, first on the region and then on the entire world. They just disagree who will be the ruler of this empire. In this deadly game of thrones, there is no place for America or Israel. When it comes to Iran and ISIS, the enemy of your enemy is your enemy, he said. And it's very true. See, Iran today is being run by Shiite radicals. And ISIS is being run by Sunni radicals. Now, maybe ISIS is worse than Iran. I would say that's probably true. But nevertheless, why would America or the West even get involved in this fight between the Sunnis and the Shiites? Because what if Iran wins? Do you think that then suddenly Iran has become a friend of America? No way. Not in your wildest dreams will that ever happen. Breitbart had a lot more to say. On March 3, they pointed out that Netanyahu got to the heart of his message, absolutely devastating Obama's reported Iranian peace deal. In the shadow of the Jewish holiday of Purim, when a Jewish woman pled for the survival of her people from the intentions of a Persian anti-Semite, Netanyahu echoed Queen Esther's language. And of course, that anti-Semite was famous Haman, or He-Man, who later was then killed by the king of Persia. But Netanyahu goes on to say, I feel profound obligation to speak to you about a threat to the survival of my country and the survival of my people. Iran's quest for nuclear weapons. In nearly 4,000 years of history, many have tried repeatedly to destroy the Jewish people. But there's a lot more he said, which Breitbart didn't quote, but I went back after I'd heard the speech and I found the transcript, and I want to quote to you what else he said. Because this is what he said. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, spews the oldest hatred of anti-Semitism with the newest technology. He tweets that Israel must be annihilated. He tweets, in Iran, there isn't exactly free internet. But he tweets in English that Israel must be destroyed. For those who believe that Iran threatens the Jewish state but not the Jewish people, listen to Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, Iran's chief terrorist proxy. He said, if all the Jews gather in Israel, it will save us the trouble of chasing them down around the world. Now, Breitbart goes on to say this. Netanyahu concluded by citing the Bible in Hebrew. He quoted the parting words of Moses. As the Jews were about to enter the land of Israel from Deuteronomy 31:6, Moses gave us a message that has steeled our resolve for thousands of years. Be strong and resolute, neither fear nor dread them. And of course, I like to interject here something. Moses didn't just talk to the Jews. You see, he talked to the entire nation of Israel before they entered the Promised Land. The Jews were just one tribe of the entire nation of Israel. Judah was a son of Jacob who had 12 sons. And the house of Israel today, the descendants of which can be found amongst other nations in the United States of America and Great Britain. And I find this very interesting, how Benjamin Netanyahu concluded his speech. He said, "My friends, may Israel and America always stand together, strong and resolute. May we neither fear nor dread the challenges ahead. May we face the future with confidence, strength, and hope. May God bless the state of Israel, and may God bless the United States of America." And these were his parting words. You see, unfortunately, the Bible indicates, and we pointed that out in previous Standing Watch programs, that the relationship between America and Israel and also Great Britain will deteriorate. Because there is envy involved. There is ill feelings involved, as we have them right now between Israel and America. Now, Breitbart goes on to say, "The controversy over the politics of the speech is over. Now the world must answer Netanyahu's question, will Israel have to stand alone?" And sadly, that's how it appears. That's how it appears. But before we say, oh, that is just Israel, let's not make the mistake of thinking that if Iran, once it has the power, wouldn't do anything against America. I have an article here by the Jerusalem Post, dated February 27, saying this: "A senior Iranian cleric with close ties to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei vowed on Friday that, quote, 'we will raise the flag of Islam over the White House,' close quote. He said that in response to the killing of Hezbollah and Revolutionary Guards operatives on the Golan Heights last month. So Israel did that apparently. The blame is put on America as well. The great Satan, as Iran has stated America allegedly is. Do you ever believe that there's going to be friendship between those countries? Do you believe that there will ever be honesty on the side of Iran when it comes to such a deal, that they will actually come forward with the true facts? Not in your wildest imagination is that going to happen. You see, we have two booklets I'd like to present to you. They are free of charge. You can ask for them. The one is The Fall and Rise of Britain and America. The Fall and Rise of Britain and America. It tells you about the future of America and Great Britain in the light of what we are talking about today. And another very important booklet, Middle Eastern and African Nations in Biblical Prophecy. Now this also addresses Iran. It addresses the future of Iran. It tells you what is in store for Iran and for Israel in the light of biblical prophecy, in the light of what we are talking about today. Because let's not make a mistake, I don't care how the election in Israel will end up, who's going to be the next prime minister. The situation between America and Israel is not going to improve. And the same is true no matter who the next American president is going to be. The Bible makes this very clear. You need to know what the facts are. You need to know what is prophesied. And we in our Standing Watch programs will keep you informed about these events because they are so dramatically important for you to understand. Thank you very much for listening. This is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.
Standing Watch is a presentation by The Church of the Eternal God, P.O. Box 270519, San Diego, California 92198. More information is also available at our website, eternalgod.org.